Hey guys, it's me, Not So Splendid, and if you remember, a couple of months ago, I made this layout video, as you can see right here. You know, me building the layout, and it was a good video, and it was good for its time, but let's just see how it looks, analytics-wise, and wooga booga, holy shit. I mean, anyways, that layout was good for its time, but it had its own flaws, such as it was hard to film with, and it was just difficult all around. So, in today's video, we are showing how I refurbished the layout and made it actually good. So, without stalling, let's get into this. Let us start off this video with a moment of silence for the old layout. But anyways, after I stripped everything off, the first thing I had to do was get off that grass mat. Afterwards, I just threw it in a box, and I threw it away. Now we were left with bare board, which gave me an easier chance to move it. First thing I had to do was tidy up the corner and decide how I wanted to lay everything out. After that, I moved over my little stencil things, so I could put the board up properly, as you can see here. I also got a little jiggy with it. I decided I would also paint the rims to make it look a little bit better and blend in a bit. It doesn't look the cleanest, but it's better than nothing. And you'll see that on the other board once we get that one in here. Now, okay, let's take a pause for 1 minute here. You know, we're probably wondering,
Splendid, how the freaky bomb, or what the freaky bomb is the layout gonna look like? I'm very interested in the integral to the story of the plot, so you should totally tell us, cause we love your content.
And it's very simple. As you'll see on screen right here, this is the current design for the layout. It is very, very Coolio 93 if you ask me. I plan on building a mountain. I repeat, a mountain. Name one other person who would build a mountain for Tommy. Then we have a basic shed area. That's pretty Coolio 93. We have a yard. I think that's really cool. And as you'll see, I have some things labeled. We plan on having 3 stations. 1 goods station and 2 no passenger stations. Double track, because double tracks are Coolio. A yard, if I didn't say that. And 1.5 sheds, kinda. Because one of them will be Thomas's shed. And one of them will be the big sheds. So, with that, I thought this would be very Coolio. Also, if you look over to the side, this is my new character. His name's Bob. If you ever want to use him, he costs $6. So yeah. But with that being said, let us go back to our regularly scheduled program. So, let's go. Now it was time for me to build the layout, or at least a rough draft. Since we didn't have the grass mat yet, I decided I would just lay it out to see how it looked. And I will say later, this did not stick, but I won't say anything else, or else I should ruin the rest of the video. As you can see here, there are certain things on the layout that I did keep, such as this little area here, the back wall, and the rough location of where the sheds would be, as you can see here. Also, since I haven't stated this yet, the paint stands have actually really grown on me, so they were used in the final project for the second board, because it was way too thick to be used for a white table. But I didn't end up using a white table for this board. So I had known about the second board coming, so I decided I would move some stuff that was in the other area that was underneath the window. Because personally, I like the aesthetic of having a layout under a window. It kind of gives a vibe into the real world. As you can see here, this is the rundown. I tried to base it kind of off Season 2, as you can see, did a sloppily attempt at remaking. I quickly threw all of that off to put on the grass mat. Afterwards, I decided I would build just a little temporary layout, which you saw on my stream. During this day, actually, my RWS Thomas arrived, and, you know, me being me, and being a goofy Thomas YouTuber, I decided, you know, we could goof off, have a little bit of fun, you know, just get a test for the mat. We have fun. Then realization set in. This board will be longer than my other one. So, instead of it being like this, I am actually going to have this one be the long board to help me make the L. And this day, I also got tables. They were very muddy, so I had to clean them, which you'll see here. Also, unfortunately, during this next part, I forgot to hit record while I was building the layout, so we kind of start when I'm placing down trees here. And I didn't get the best angle because my camera stick was broken, but you can very much enjoy the beautiful Busy Boy James. This next bit is a bit boring, so please sit tight. I need the watch time, please. Please! I'm very proud of this. This is just, it's scrumdiddlyocious, and I will get bigger trees to put around, but so far this is pretty damn nice. Right here, as you can see, I was getting a few test runs in with Boko to make sure everything would fit, make sure it didn't collide with any trees, and if he did, they were taken up and removed, or just moved around. Now, right here comes something interesting. I am putting in the new board. I had to remove some pieces of track to make it fit, and I also would have to move the board itself because this thing is so huge. It's a 4x4 board, and I didn't really know how big that was. So it took me like a solid 20 minutes to even get the board to be upright, but it was totally worth it. It looks so good. Right here, I'm starting to lay down the grass mat, because, believe it or not, I like my things to be realistic. You put down glue first, and then you roll out the grass mat, put something on top of it, and just pray it sticks. At least that's what I do. Logically now, the next step is to put them two together and just pray that it works. But before I did that, I would have to cut off the excess because it would cause overdrag and low-key look very ugly. As you can see here, I also got a little bit distracted and hot glued some detail onto the good station.
Now it was time for the fun part, to actually start building. And I'm very excited about this. I put up some photos, pulled up some reference, messaged a few people, and then it was building time. But I did have a small problem. The boards weren't even, and that really pissed with me mentally. So what I did was I got a block and I put it under there, as you're seeing here. But now it was time for me to build. And now, well, before I actually started building, I glued on a strip of grass just to help it seem a bit more realistic, and just low-key let it look a bit better. Before I started building, I decided I would paint over some of the details that just looked a bit off, mainly along the rim of the boards and at the back wall, and along that grass strip that I just glued down. I did this to really sell the fact that it's supposed to be grass and not a board on a layout, or a grass mat on a board. This is coming along very nicely. Now we just have to let it dry. But I'm too lazy to do that, so let's get building! Woo! As you can see here, we have Busy V Jams coming back again as mental support. And I did low-key get very pissed at this point, because I wanted to build certain things that I just really couldn't, and I had to make do with what I had. Like how I didn't have any quarter straights, so I just had to low-key crash out. I also added a few things that I didn't even put on there, such as a small little shed, that I'm going to count as Thomas's shed, a unique connection to the turntable, and also a little station in the corner. And after all of that, this is what it looks like. I'm so very proud and just peak right here. But why don't we take a look at the finished product compared to the rough draft? So here's what it looks like finished, and here's what I have from the original drawing. I think I got it pretty good for what I had, and I think it's neato. Now all I need to do is build a mountain, but that will be in part 3.
Now why don't we get into the glamour shots?
I'm like, hey, what's up? Since your pretty ass, soon as you came in the door, I just wanna chill, got a sack across the road. I'm into the money, introduced her to my stove. Showed her how to whip it, now she remixing my low. She my track queen, let her in the bingo. We be counting up, watching all the flames go. We just set and go, talking about some Lambos. And love with the money, I ain't never letting go. And I get high with my baby. I'll be in the kitchen cooking pies. I'm like, hey, what's up? Hello.